This is RCMuseum Podcast. I'm Lane Patch. For the last several months, I've been working on something with the Ravalli County Museum in Hamilton, Montana. It's a brand new audio tour focusing on the history and architectural design of a building that has served both as a county courthouse and a museum over the course of 120 years. Even if you've never been to the Ravalli County Museum, you could probably picture it. From the outside, the building dons a classic red brick facade. A towering cupola extends from the northwest corner of the building and reaches towards the big sky. Inside, there are exhibits filled with information and artifacts that cover the history and culture of the Bitterroot Valley and its inhabitants. The building at 205 Bedford has a long and fascinating story and also carries the legacy of one of Montana's favorite architects, A.J. Gibson. What you're going to hear now is the whole audio tour. If you're in Hamilton, you should try to listen to it inside the museum. There are signs at the entrances of each room indicating where you are. But if you can't make it to the Ravalli County Museum today, the tour is still really fun as a piece of entertainment. My goal in this auditory experience is to create a different kind of audio tour that feels like walking through the building with a knowledgeable friend rather than a tour guide. I hope you enjoy it. If you are confused about your location at any point in this tour, remember each of the rooms is labeled. Twice, actually. The modern exhibit gallery number is listed, as well as what purpose that room served when the building was the courthouse. So, let's peek into the past. Let's explore the oddities and the stories one could miss if they weren't looking for them. Here's the first stop. If you're in the building, start in the foyer by the front desk. Welcome to the old Ravalli County Courthouse, now the Ravalli County Museum. 205 Bedford Street has a long story, and it all begins in the year 1900. One architectural feature that's changed since the building's initial construction is the alteration of the front entrance. As you enter the building, you may have noticed the first set of doors are at ground level. Originally, the entrance was elevated by two sets of stairs and featured a pediment-style archway. This is one of many minor architectural alterations or additions to this building in order to modernize. Another is a Cold War-era bomb shelter on the east wing of the building, with walls 3 feet deep. There is also an accessibility ramp at the back of the building, as well as an elevator. Let's continue down the hallway of this first floor, looking towards our right. In a nook, there is an ambrola, a model phonograph or gramophone. This one was produced by the Edison Company in 1918 and plays a wax cylinder. Above, you'll see the first of our blue historical labels. This was once a cashier's window, and while this building served as the courthouse, citizens would pay fines, taxes, and other fees in this hallway. Continuing down the hallway, we come across the Lewis and Clark Salish exhibit, or discovery room, on our right. This one served as the office of the treasurer. The two main roles of the treasurer are as the custodian of all county funds and the collector of taxes. Upon entering the room, you'll notice a large black door embellished with gold script reading, Diebold Lock and Safe. There are a total of 4 vaults in the building. One in this room, one in the subterranean floor beneath us, that now serves as a temperature-controlled space for our collection of historic maps and newspapers, one upstairs, and one on the east wing of the building, which serves as office spaces for museum staff. These vaults used to hold large amounts of money and confidential legal documents, but now they serve as storage for artifacts and maintenance supplies. If you'd like to explore this room more, please pause the tour and start it up when you re-enter the main hallway. The exhibits down this hallway chronicle the history of the valley, beginning with the trappers who arrived after Lewis and Clark's expedition. But before they were exhibits, they served as the offices of courthouse employees. Take a moment to peek inside and explore life in the West, trappers and miners, the walk through the Bitterroot, and the Montana Cafe exhibit. Pause the tour now and restart it when you're back in the main hallway. The next stop is at the staircase back in the foyer. Let's make our way back there now. As we walk up these stairs, notice the framed plans for this building. The architect, A.J. Gibson, designed this building, and Charles Staburn built it on land donated by Marcus Daly's Anaconda Copper Mining Company. The building's construction was funded by a bond issue of $20,000, and construction lasted right around 1 year. Let's continue up these stairs until we reach the second floor. Check out those stairs that seemingly lead to nowhere. They're very steep and are actually closed to everybody, including museum staff. At the end of those stairs is access to the cupola, the dome-shaped tower visible from outside the building. The cupola is made up of 3 parts: the base, the vents, which is the middle portion, and the cap or roof. The primary uses of a cupola are to add ventilation to the inside of a building and to enhance the aesthetics of the exterior. This is one of the many Romanesque features Gibson incorporated into the courthouse's architecture. Take notice of the arched windows. They also add to the sense of grandeur this building evokes. Let's talk a bit about A.J. Gibson, the man with the vision. Born to farmers in rural Ohio, Albert John Gibson attended country school only a few months of the year. However, by the age of 18, he was already demonstrating undeniable skill and understanding in the world of tools, construction, and architectural design. Neighbors of the Gibson family reported that he hand-cut his family's barn, each log fitting perfectly. Following the death of his father, Gibson arrived in Butte at the age of 21. Finding his forever home in Missoula, Gibson embarked on his career first as a carpenter and later as an architect. Gibson's career was prolific in the western half of the state, from governmental buildings to additions to the iconic Daly Mansion to his own home in Missoula. After retiring, Gibson and his wife embarked on numerous automobile adventures, even laying claim to the title of first Montanans to drive across both the Canadian and Mexican borders. Gibson's love of cars ultimately led to his death, though. At the age of 65, while on a drive in Missoula, he and his wife Maud were killed when a train struck their car suddenly. A.J. Gibson's legacy lives in these walls, and his story is part of the essence of this building. It may come as a surprise to you that this building was once at risk of being destroyed. Let's continue into the next exhibit gallery, the door to our right, and I'll explain a bit more about the near destruction of the old Ravalli County Courthouse. Back in the early 1970s, a project to construct a new county courthouse and jail was approved. The old courthouse was slated to become a parking lot. A vocal cohort of local historians, the Bitterroot Valley Historical Society, or BRVHS, protested the demolition and communicated that the old courthouse was a perfect candidate for their county museum. So, in 1978, the Ravalli County Museum found its home here, and this giant artifact now holds thousands upon thousands of artifacts. Pretty neat, if you ask me. The room we are standing in is nicknamed the Gray Gallery because of the gray walls, but it once served as the Clerk of Court's office. The Clerk of Court is responsible for maintaining all court records, including criminal, felony, and misdemeanor cases, civil, family, probate, and small claims proceedings, juvenile cases, and traffic citations. The Clerk of Court also is the official recorder and custodian of all documents kept in the court's records. Take a minute to peruse the exhibit currently housed in this room and pause the tour. Please press play when you've exited to the main gallery, the old courtroom. This may be counterintuitive, but look down. The floors tell the story of this room and hold the history we may have lost if they were ever renovated. Notice the contrast in the warm, orangey boards and the dark, almost burned-looking sections. The dark patch closest to the wall was once where a jury box was located. The stage was once the judge's place, and the division between the trial participants and the public audience is clear by the indication of where a barrier once was. Imagine all the action this room saw back in the day. Countless court cases were deliberated on in this room. If you look closely, there are small dimples covering the wooden floor, from heels and dress shoes marching about over the course of 70 years worth of legal proceedings. You'll notice the door on the left-hand side of the stage has a blue historical label reading Judge's Office. This is now the Ravalli County Museum's Executive Director's Office space. Before we move on to the final hallway, I encourage you to walk through this room. Notice the light that streams through the arched windows. Maybe close your eyes and picture this room filled with citizens. Visualize a trial playing out, attorneys presenting their cases, and witnesses delivering their testimonies. Let's make our way to the last of the exhibits. If we take a left, we'll see Exhibit Gallery 5, which contains all the museum's educational materials. This room was originally used as one of the 2 jurors' meeting rooms. This is one of the places where the 12 members of the jury would come to their consensus of whether the person standing trial was guilty or innocent. Now, let's make our way to Exhibit Gallery 6, right next door, which houses the Bertie Lord photography exhibit. This is where the stenographer's office was. A stenographer, or court reporter, transcribes the words spoken during court cases by typing them into a steno machine, a type of shorthand typewriter. Stenographers are known for being excellent typists, some even typing 200 words per minute. Let's check out Exhibit Gallery 7, the former prisoner's cell. This was the spot people were contained while they were on trial. Because the old Ravalli County Jail was direct neighbors with this building, it was a short journey for some defendants. Finally, let's walk towards Exhibit Gallery 8, currently the Natural History exhibit. This was the other space used for jury deliberation, and also has some storytelling floors. The dimples, scratches, and scrapes on these floors conjure images of pacing members of a jury, individuals shuffling around in search of clarity and proper judgment. Over the course of the last 120 years, this building has made an impact as an iconic piece of local architecture. The quintessential classical revival style, mixed with those grandiose Romanesque accents, create a visual feast. Most impressive, perhaps, is the maintenance of so many original features. This building is a time machine in multiple ways. The Bitterroot Valley's history is preserved in our museum's collection, and the legacy of the old Ravalli County Courthouse lives on in each brick, vault, and memory. RCMuseum Podcast is produced by the Ravalli County Museum. Audio recording and editing by Lane Patch.